out Russia.
Let's discuss this further now with our guest. Let's cross live to the US and investigative journalist Dave Lindorf, editor of thiscan'tbehappening.com. Great to have you with us, Mr. Lindorf. So Trump's proposal is entitled Budget for a Better America. I suppose the big question is, do you think it will achieve that?
No. They've already busted the budget with this enormous tax cut from last year. And now they're pumping up the budget with all this military spending and stuff, which doesn't do much for jobs. I think the studies I've seen are that when you ramp up military spending, you get about half the jobs added that you get by investing in almost any other industry. So it's not going to help employment. It's not going to help reduce the deficit, which is going to start putting pressure on, lending rates and interest rates in general. So it'll be an inflationary budget. This is assuming it would get passed. I think there's a lot of questions about whether this budget will fly.
There's also, of course, that $8.6 billion that's been requested for new border barriers. I mean, how likely is the Democrat-controlled House to give him that money?
Ain't going to happen.
How do you view Trump's decision to cut foreign aid and domestic programs while boosting border security and funds aimed at countering Russia?
Well, that's sort of been a long-standing Republican thing, so it'll probably be happily supported by Republicans in the House. They always say, why are we spending money on the State Department, much of which goes towards massaging allies and, making friends. So they'd rather spend the money on military. So I don't think the Republicans are going to fuss about the additional military spending, as epic as it is, but the Democrats are not going to, I don't think, are going to support it. Most of the candidates are not running on increasing military spending.
Well, this epic military spending, as you put it, is it really necessary in your view?
No, of course not, unless you adhere to the Pentagon strategists and the neocons that are in the National Security Council, who are always looking for more ways to get the U.S. involved in wars, and who also back this idea of strategic dominance. So there's this long-running thing that's been going on of trying to, and I think it's getting stepped up again. It kind of faded a little after the collapse of the Soviet Union, but during the Soviet Union and now back with dealing with Russia, there's this attitude of what we need to get is a strategic dominance where the U.S. can consider realistically having a first strike on the Russians, and whether or not they mean to wipe out Russia as a rival, or whether they envision being able to present the Russians with a threat that the U.S. could do that without and destroy Russia's ability to retaliate, would cause Russia to cave in on various important issues, is an open question.
I suppose also on the horizon is the prospect of another government shutdown. If Congress and the president fail to agree on this budget, how likely would that be, do you think?
I think it could happen. I mean, Trump has shown that he's willing to do this this budget antic to get what he wants, and I think that part of it is that he thinks, and he may be right, I don't know. He thinks that by standing firm on his, build a wall thing, even though it's not going to happen, he wins because his core base, the ones that chant build the wall, want to see him not give in on that. So it doesn't matter whether he wins or not, as long as he according to that argument, as long as he holds the line and keeps asking for it and demanding it. And if he freezes the budget by just saying he's not going to spend or not sign anything, and government shuts down, he thinks he wins.
Okay, investigative journalist Dave Lindorf, thanks for joining us on RT International and sharing your thoughts with us. It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Well, those are the headlines for you this hour. Do join us again at the top of the hour for all the latest. We'll be here. We'll see you then.